Good morning, Emerson. Today is Tuesday, November 26th. There's nothing better than a Thanksgiving dinner besides getting creative with the leftovers. Sharon Johnson's here to show us her ideas.
And later, we will tell you all about how a Pee Wee football team is helping its 6-year-old water boy take a stand against bullying. This story will surely give you something to be thankful for.
I'm Anthony Chase.
And I'm Maggie Morlath. Welcome to Good Morning Emerson. Now, today we're going to start off our show by discussing the deal that was just made with Iran regarding their nuclear development. Basically, over the next 6 months, Iran will have to halt their nuclear development, and Brittany Gervais is going to have that full report in just a bit.
And also, the Patriots had a crazy comeback win over the weekend. I know some of our friends at GME were at that game. They're still thawing out, but Mike Candalupo is going to give you the recap later.
That's right. The Pats had a great weekend, but it was also a big weekend for music. The American Music Awards happened this weekend, and Katy Perry had quite a controversial performance. So Christian's going to tell us just a little bit more about that later.
We have a lot to cover on the Thanksgiving edition of Good Morning Emerson, but right now, Brittany Gervais has the latest stories for you that you need to know. Let's check in with her for your news update.
Thanks, guys. We start this morning with an update on the lockdown at Yale University. The university ordered students and staff to shelter in place after a phone call was reported seeing a gunman on campus. The school was on lockdown for nearly 6 hours before the lockdown was lifted. Authorities are now saying the call was likely a hoax, and they are currently investigating. No one was injured. There have been a lot of new developments on the rape of a 16-year-old girl last year in Steubenville, Ohio. A grand jury has indicted 4 more people for their involvement, including the school superintendent, 2 teachers, and the assistant football coach. Superintendent Michael McVeigh was the only one out of the 4 to be charged with felonies, a count of tampering with evidence, and 2 counts of obstructing justice. A school teacher and an elementary school principal were also charged with failure to report child abuse and neglect. Several cars of the New York City-bound Amtrak train went off the tracks yesterday in South Carolina. 218 passengers were aboard at the time, but no one was seriously injured. The train became disabled shortly after midnight when 9 cars went off the tracks. All of the cars remained upright, though, and heating and lighting was also running shortly afterwards. Passengers were taken to Washington, D.C. to be placed on other trains. Amtrak officials are saying they are currently investigating the cause of the derailment. And the report on the investigation into the Sandy Hook shootings was released yesterday. It revealed shooter Adam Lanza acted alone when he killed his mother and then 26 people at the Sandy Hook Elementary School last December. The report also gave a detailed account of Lanza's movements in the Sandy Hook Elementary, as well as some information about his relationships and home life. Investigators also say Lanza had a preoccupation with mass shootings, particularly the Columbine High School shootings. The detailed report is almost 50 pages long. And a 6-month deal was signed with Iran, putting a pause on the country's development of a nuclear weapon. The historic agreement reverses basically every progress of Iran's nuclear program. The freeze would virtually make it impossible for Iran to work on a nuclear weapon without being detected. So in return, the U.S. will return their sanctions on the country and access some of its frozen accounts overseas. And after a 6-month deal is up, world powers will work with Iran to create a more comprehensive nuclear deal. And that's all the news I have for you this morning. Back to you, Maggie and Anthony.
You talked about some of the details in the Sandy Hook report, but did you see anything that could give us an idea of Adam Lanza's motive?
Now, this report didn't reveal an actual motive to what Adam Lanza was thinking at the time, but it did reveal a lot about his personal life and his relationships at home. Investigators found a lot of violent video games in his basement. They also found a lot of documents just giving information about some of the mass shootings in U.S. history. So this definitely paints the picture of a lone gunman with a serious mental illness. So it'll definitely, we may never know what the actual motive was.
Now, Brittany, this Steubenville case is just one of those stories where there seems to be so many layers. Were there any other people involved in the cover-up?
Actually, last October, the jury indicted William Brenneman, who was the director of technology for the school system. And he was also found with charges of tampering with evidence and kind of obstructing justice. So it'll just be interesting to see in the coming weeks how many people are involved in this cover-up and what the consequences are for this.
Thank you so much, Brittany. Many of us at Emerson are headed home for Thanksgiving, and a lot of students, myself included, are concerned about the storm that is headed for the Northeast overnight. So let's go to Mal Meyer for our travel weather update.
And good morning, Maggie. Yes, I think that storm might actually pass by Boston, but it could still affect travel plans. So keep an eye out for any weather advisories. Right now, it's a cool 35 degrees, but a warm front will move in later today, hitting the cool front in front of us. That means we'll be getting some rain, 50% chance of showers around noon, with temperatures around 42. That rain and higher temps will continue throughout the night. Around 8 p.m., 45 degrees, out with a 60% chance of rain. Moving into the night, full force showers around midnight, still warming up to a high of 51 around 3 a.m. And for those sticking around Boston for break, tomorrow still more rain the entire day, but with a high of 60. Let's hope we get a break in those clouds for a little bit. Enjoy that nice weather. Around 3 p.m., it'll start to cool down, mid to lower 40s through the evening with rain. And by midnight, the rain will have ended with a low of 32. Now let's take a look ahead at the rest of the week. And on Thanksgiving, partially cloudy skies with high winds again from 20 to 25 miles per hour. High of just 34 degrees, but could feel more like 15. Gradually cooling down in the afternoon and evening, low of 29 at night. If you're headed back out on Black Friday, bundle up, only 24 degrees from 5 to 8 a.m. Slowly inching up to 32 around noon with clear skies. By 8 p.m., it'll cool down again to 28. And on Saturday, similar weather, partially cloudy skies with a high of 34, low of 31. And that's your local weather forecast. I'm Mal Meyer. Back over to you, Maggie and Anthony.
Emerson student Andy Schlebecker recently worked on writing an animated series pilot called Canvas.
He will have a staged reading of Canvas when we come back from Thanksgiving break, but right now he's here to tell us more. So Andy, thanks for coming in.
Of course.
Can you just tell us a little bit more about the story? Should we be laughing? Will we be crying?
Well, it's a kid's cartoon, so hopefully you should be doing both. I'm a big fan, especially growing up, watching all kinds of kids' cartoons that kind of the best ones tackle adult themes while still kind of being masked with kind of a genuine childish fun.
Now, you co-wrote it with Ali Dokas, right?
Yes.
She also. So can you talk about how maybe your relationship sort of influences this piece, your friendship with her during your time at Emerson?
Totally. Sometimes at Emerson, I feel like we all have to like prove something to other people. You know, we go into like any sort of professional setting and we have to kind of put on a face and do our job. So it's nice sometimes when you just have a friend that you can totally relax and be yourself with. I think for at least Ali, it's been really nice just to be able to kind of let loose and just be dorky and dumb and just kind of write how we would feel like we would love something as a kid, which would be.
So it must be exciting to see your and Ali's work come to life. I know you guys have a star-studded cast. How did you put that together?
Well, everyone in it I've worked with in any sort of capacity at Emerson, whether it be the Evvies, the Emerson channel, or even just kind of minor personal productions. So it was kind of a matter of like taking the characters that we made and thinking like, who would do an amazing job with these characters? And they all just kind of came into being. And honestly, they've, like, you know, there's when you create a piece, you put something out there, but then it's up to like talented actors, which they are, to like really push it into something far beyond anything I could imagine.
All right, so when and where can we find the reading?
It'll be on Monday, December 2nd, the day right after break, in the NPR at 8 p.m.
Cool. So my other question for you is, if you guys are actually trying to get this animated, because the reading is going to be a really fun time with everybody in the room together, but do you have any plans for the future with it?
Well, obviously it's a really long-term goal. But you know, like real animation costs like $1 million per episode. Yeah. I'll never have that money. But it's long term for the future. Right now, we're just seeing where it goes.
Well, we really hope that happens, but right now we have to take a quick break. When we get back, Anthony and I will be sharing a heartwarming story that will make you think twice about bullying.
Stay with us. Welcome back to Good Morning Emerson. Maggie and I recently heard about a heartwarming story that's actually pretty close to home in Bridgewater. A group of 5th grade football players found out that their 6-year-old water boy, Danny, was being bullied.
Yeah, exactly. This football team decided to do something about it. One of Danny's older brothers was on the team, and then when the captain of the football team found out that Danny was being made fun of for his speech impediment, the team decided to band together and make a Danny Appreciation Day. This is absolutely adorable. The boys decided to wear suits and ties to honor Danny because he actually happens to be quite a dapper dresser and loves to wear suits and ties.
It's amazing to see kids at this age with this amount of maturity, especially in the athletic, environment. A lot of times with football players, you have this picture of them being the bullies and the instigators, but this time, you saw a lot of the kids were actually getting emotional by showing their support for Danny.
That's right. I actually started getting emotional when I saw this video because the boys, when they were talking about it, were so invested and just truly cared about Danny, and they started crying themselves, and I just thought that was extremely touching. It was also very moving to see Danny's mother say how important this was to her because Danny, having an impediment, a speech impediment, needs that little bit of extra support.
And this is the age, 5th grade is the age where kids don't really realize what they're doing and they're bullying other kids. I know I was bullied by athletes at that age, that exact age actually. And since then we've become really good friends because you sort of come of age and you realize what you're doing to other kids. And I know they'll feel bad about that, whoever was bullying Danny. But I hope these kids, take this lesson with them through the rest of their lives.
I think this story is so special too because recently there's been so much about bullying and there have been so many movements against bullying, but this is just a beautiful story that shows that it's possible and that, kids themselves can work to eradicate bullying.
Absolutely.
But Mike's Dolphins lost again, and I'm not going to bully him about it because he has your sports update from here in New England.
Poor Anthony, that's so sad that you were bullied, but hip hip hooray! Lots of reasons for Boston sports fans to be cheering with glee after this weekend. First off, the Celtics ended a 6-game losing streak on Saturday against the Hawks, so last night they looked to start a winning streak against the 7-7 Charlotte Bobcats. Now the Bobcats really went into this one really needing a win at home, but the Celtics take the early lead thanks to Jordan Crawford, who is raining threes looking like Anthony Chase out there. These two in a row, and then right at the top of the key, Celtics go up double digits. Crawford had 21 points. Bobcats close the gap in the second half, though. This is Kemba Walker with the drive and jumper. He ties the game. He scored 28 points. Fourth quarter, Celtics try to pull it away a little bit. They score the first 10 points of the quarter and capped it off with a Courtney Lee three-pointer. Celtics win 96-86. With the Celtics win, they're now 6-10, which may sound terrible, but the Atlantic Division still stinks, so it could be worse. Something that can't be any better is the battle between Brady and Manning. The 14th matchup between these great QBs went down Sunday night in the freezy, windy, cold, and it was one to remember. Both of these quarterbacks looking to find a way to overcome these elements. Who will conquer them? Well, the Broncos get off to the fast start. They capitalize off of 3 Patriot fumbles. This is Peyton Manning to Jacob Tamme, 24-0 at halftime, but it ain't over till the fat lady sings. The Patriots would score 28 straight points, capped off by this Brady to Edelman catch. Edelman was all over the field. Pats later get a field goal, go up 7, but the Broncos bounce back. All reliable Demaryius Thomas with the touchdown, tied the game at 31, and we're going to overtime, and the Pats go to punt it away. Welker deep to receive, but Tony Carter, man, oh man, the incidental contact. The Patriots recover it and kick the game-winning field goal. Pats win this one 34-31. Now with this heart-stopping win, the Patriots have improved to 8-3, while the Broncos have slipped to 9-2. The Colts also lost on Sunday, bringing them to 7-4, which means the Patriots now own the second slot in the AFC playoff picture. Now remember, the first 2 seeds in the playoffs receive a bye in the first round. With little competition within the East and losses by the Finns and Jets, the Pats have a pretty secure lead on their division. Now, that's all I got. Back to the 2 I'm most grateful for.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Well, besides the Celtics game, there were some big stories coming out of the NBA. What was the big one that everybody's talking about, though?
Well, there were 2 one good, one bad. First, let's talk about Kobe Bryant, who everybody was ruling out after an Achilles injury last year. He got a 2-year contract extension, so Kobe's back. But Derrick Rose, man, oh man, it's so heartbreaking. After over a year and a half out with a torn ACL, he tore his meniscus in a game. He's out for the season yet again.
So on Sunday, we were experiencing crazy winds here in Boston. I literally thought they were going to pick me up off my feet and place me down the street. But how did this affect the outcome of the Broncos-Pats game?
Well, you look at it, you look Brady versus Manning, you think it's going to be this crazy pass fest. But then you look at the Broncos, Sean Moreno ran the ball 37 times. He ran for over 200 yards. And at the end, he was hobbled with an ankle injury, but they still put him in because honestly, when you're throwing in 30-mile-an-hour winds, you can't really do much. It doesn't matter if you're Peyton Manning or Tom Brady.
Thanks, Mike. Well, if you were too occupied with the Patriots to even think about the American Music Awards, don't worry because Christian is here to break it down for you.
Thanks, guys. The American Music Awards this past weekend were a roller coaster ride of touching moments from Rihanna to Miley dancing in front of a screensaver from 1998. But the most talked about performance this year was from Katy Perry. Perry, who has recently been accoladed for her new music video for her new single Unconditionally, is actually being chastised for her borderline racist performance. Katy Perry sung her hit single while wearing a geisha-inspired outfit while frolicking around a very clearly Asian-themed set. Upset fans took to Twitter, while critics went as far as calling the cultural appropriation stunt as bad as Miley's twerking travesty back in August. Speaking of Miley, her 21st birthday was last weekend, and she celebrated like only Miley would. After her performance at the American Music Awards, Miley headed over to the Beecher's Madhouse at the Roosevelt Hotel. Photos of the event have surfaced showing copious amounts of booze, strippers, tongues, and even a guest appearance from Dr. Seuss's lovable character, the Lorax. Unclear as to why the cuddly, eco-friendly creature showed up, but I'm sure he was there just to remind everyone to recycle their beer bottles and condom wrappers. Britney Spears has publicly announced that the website selling tickets for an upcoming private show is a scam. Spears and Black Eyed Peas lead vocalist will.i.am are having an exclusive invite-only listening party, and naturally someone has found a fraudulent way to make money off of it. The website claims to have tickets to the event where Spears won't even be singing live and selling those tickets for $4,000 a pop. The reps for the website still claim to have the tickets, despite Spears' backlash. On Sunday night, tragedy hit Quahog, Rhode Island when fan favorite Brian Griffin died from vehicle-related injuries. In the latest episode of Seth MacFarlane's Family Guy, the family dog Brian was hit by a car and died. Longtime pal Stewie Griffin attempted to save his dog using his time machine, but had recently disassembled it and couldn't rebuild it in time. Brian's crazy 11-season-long antics included being a failed author, an Iraq vet, and a police dog. That's all the juicy gossip I have for you today. Back to you guys on the couch.
Oh, Christian, you and I have been Family Guy fans since we were too young to be watching the show.
True.
How do you think they're going to continue Family Guy without Brian?
Well, they've actually already replaced him with a new dog named Vinny, voiced by Tony Sirico from The Sopranos. And where Brian connected with Stewie on a more of an intellectual level, this new dog Vinny is going to hopefully bring back some of Stewie's more evil, manipulative power from the earlier seasons. And we might be seeing some more, world domination Stewie. So that might be interesting in later seasons.
We'll have to see.
Now back to the AMAs. How do you think Katy Perry's performance will affect her PR?
Well, I don't really think it'll affect her at all. I mean, we saw the backlash that Miley Cyrus received from the VMAs, and everyone stopped, and nothing is happening with Katy Perry. No one really cares. It's just another, example of how a white pop singer is appropriating a culture that isn't her own, and people are kind of jaded to that, so we're not really seeing any backlash.
All right, thanks, Christian. It always seems who can shock the crowd the most, in these music awards. Well, we're going to take a quick break.
But when we come back, we'll be cooking up some Friendsgiving specials.
Welcome back to GME. If your ramen noodle supply is running low, I'm sure you're ready to go home for some real Thanksgiving food.
Here's Sharon with her cooking tips.
Thanks, Maggie. With Thanksgiving just 2 days away, this past weekend, I debunked some Thanksgiving food myths to make cooking a lot easier for you this upcoming holiday.
Ooh, definitely true. The only way to cook a turkey is to painstakingly roast it. You need to be watching it constantly to make sure it never burns.
I actually don't know. I've never made cranberry sauce.
I think that's true. Yeah, stuffing should definitely be cooked inside of the bird because then you get all the juices from the turkey inside of the stuffing and it is just delicious.
False. You can definitely mess up mashed potatoes.
False. You can definitely mess up mashed potatoes. I know. My parents mess up mashed potatoes every year at Thanksgiving.
False. You can celebrate Thanksgiving dinner with whoever you want, friends, family, your pets, but Friendsgiving is a really big tradition that's been started up recently. In fact, there's a group of students on campus who celebrated Friendsgiving this past weekend.
Basically, what inspired me to have a Friendsgiving was I really like cooking, and it's something I do a lot at home. I miss cooking, so I thought it'd be fun to get my friends together and just have a nice meal and just be able to sit down and just enjoy each other's company and enjoy good food. I hadn't really heard of Friendsgiving as like an actual thing like beforehand. I just kind of took Thanksgiving, I just took the thanks part off and put friends in the middle, and that's kind of how I came up with the term, but I guess the term wasn't something I came up with. So no, I'd never really heard about it as like a college thing, as like something people actually did.
I cannot wait to show you guys how to celebrate your own Friendsgiving back in the studio.
Now, as Sharon just said, Thanksgiving doesn't need to be celebrated with just your family. You can celebrate it with friends too. So now our friend Sharon is here to show us how to do it.
So guys, I just want to explain what Friendsgiving is really fast. I know a lot of people are going home this weekend just to spend time with their family and they miss them very much. But you could also spend Thanksgiving time with your friends, and Friendsgiving is a recent tradition that's just been started where you just go, you bring dishes to hang out with your friends, simple dishes, and one that we've come up with is a gobbler sandwich.
Okay.
And this is really simple and something that's really fast, and you could still impress your friends with it. And so basically there are so many different variations of it, but all you need is bread, you know, some traditional gravy, turkey, and cranberry sauce, and you know you have your gobbler sandwich. And I like to spread the cranberry sauce on the bread, layer on as much turkey as I can, and then dip it in some gravy or drizzle some gravy over it. And there are a lot of other ways you can make it. You could go the Boloco way and put it in a wrap and add, you know, stuffing to it. Or, you know, you could go the Friends way and put the moist maker in the middle, dip it in, dip a whole piece of bread in some gravy and just layer that in the middle of the sandwich.
I like that you don't have to get too fancy. You know, we're just using some canned stuff here. Like we have our canned gravy, our canned cranberry sauce. I definitely come from a canned cranberry sauce family, though we do like to make lots of other things ourselves.
That's right. This is the sort of simplified version. I know a lot of people also are not able to get home to celebrate Thanksgiving with their families, so this is a cool, easy college way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, all of these ingredients you could just pick up in a grocery store, so just in case if you have to spend Thanksgiving in a dorm or hanging out with your friends, not with your family, this is a really simple way to make it. And do you guys, what are your favorite Thanksgiving sides, by the way?
I love my mom's stuffing. We're not gonna have this year, so I'm a little worried about that.
Oh no, well I'd have to say the mashed potatoes, which you know go pretty well with the stuffing, but you can't do that canned or bagged or anything. That has to be, you know, peeling the real potatoes, you know, mashing them with a masher thing. I don't know. My mom does it. That's
go big or
that's
go
how I
home.
do
You
it.
definitely have to make the mashed potatoes right. But those are sides that you could easily add to the gobbler sandwich. You could just throw the mashed potatoes in there. You could throw the stuffing in there, and it adds so much more flavor to it. And it's awesome. There are a lot of other things you could add. Carrots, green beans, yams if you want, and it just makes it so good.
I like the idea of Friendsgiving because, you know, it's great to share it with friends here at Emerson, but when you go home, especially if you're a freshman, this is the longest you've probably been away from some of your home friends.
Exactly.
So this is a great activity to bring everybody together, and I really like that aspect of it. Maybe the day after Thanksgiving,
That's
you
right.
can all
I
have
know
an
a lot
activity.
of people have Friendsgiving dinners planned for maybe tomorrow night or for the night after to do with the leftovers. It's a great way to get rid of some leftovers. You're gonna have to suggest it to my mom.
Exactly. And then your friends, they don't have to know that it's canned gravy. They don't have to know that it's canned cranberry sauce. They can think, oh wow, Sharon made this all by herself. You know, it's special. So you can kind of trick them in that way and make an awesome sandwich.
Just put the gravy in a gravy boat, heat it up in the microwave.
Exactly.
No one will ever know.
No one has to know.
I don't know.
Not a thing.
For me, it's just about getting together with my friends, and you know, we're all pretty college-y guys. We don't really care about making our own food unless there's food there to eat.
That's right. Well, that's all the time we have for today, and I know that I am very thankful for Sharon. So don't tune in on Thursday, actually, because we'll be busy eating more turkey.
But next Tuesday, we'll have Andrew Smith and his musical voice in studio. Until then, have a great Thanksgiving and happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.